My name is RWood and this is RWood Outdoors.
Hey folks, on today's episode of RWood Outdoors, I'm going to show you how to fix a squeaking suspension on your ATV or side-by-side. I've been riding around on my trusty Polaris Sportsman 570 for a little while, and I'm starting to notice a little squeak in the suspension. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to correct that issue. As you can see, there's a lot of moving parts on your vehicle's suspension, and as you're riding around in the mud and the dirt and the water, it's important to keep all those parts properly lubricated. Not only is the sound of a squeaking suspension annoying, but not having it properly lubricated will reduce the life of your machine. So let's get started. To stop the squeak, you're going to need a grease gun. Now it's important to note that all grease guns are not created equal. This one here has a straight shaft on it, and that's not going to work for this application because the grease fittings are in some hard to reach places. That's better. Got a grease gun with a flexible hose on it. That's what we're going to need to snake up and hit those grease fittings. Now coming around to the back side of the ATV, I'm going to point out the grease fittings that we have on the suspension parts. Now depending on your make and model, the quantity and location of these grease fittings might vary. So check with your owner's manual. Here on the Polaris Sportsman, I've got in the rear here, I've got 1, 2, and 3 grease fittings on each side. And we'll go through the same process on the front side in a minute. Alright, let's get started here. I'm going to take my grease gun and snake the hose around so I can comfortably reach each fitting and give it a couple pumps. Now what you'll be looking for is right after a few squeezes, you'll start to see some grease coming out the sides. Okay, and coming around to the front side of the bike, it looks like I've got a single grease fitting right in the middle there. Let's go ahead and hit that one too with the grease gun. Well, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, there's lots of parts in the suspension that don't have grease fittings. So what do you do there? Well, as you might guess, good old-fashioned WD-40 does the trick. Now, if you really want to get fancy, I prefer the Specialist silicone version of WD-40. It's a little bit safer on your plastic bushings in the suspension and leaves a nice dry film behind for long-lasting protection and lubrication. So all those pieces, we're going to go ahead and hit that. Okay, now that we've hit all our joints with either grease or silicone spray, I'm going to come back with a paper towel and clean up the excess grease that is squeezed out. Old nasty grease. Well, what a world of difference it makes to have some proper lubrication on your ATV suspension. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode of RWood Outdoors, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell. My name is RWood, and we'll see you next time.